Hello, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Ad hoc Committee on Efficiency of Boards and Commissions. It's Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, and this meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61.826 and Council Rule 5A. Today, I'm chair of the committee, Councilwoman Jennifer Chappell. My vice chair has an excused absence today. We are joined in chambers today by Councilman Lininger as well as Councilman Kramer. We're joined virtually by Councilman Winkler, and Councilman Scott Reed has an excused absence. Item number Sorry, this is logged into the Public Safety Committee meeting. It's like, that doesn't match up. Okay. Item number O-085-25 is being held. And today we have speakers from the Ethics Commission, the Human Relations Commissions and Human Relations Commission Advocacy Board, the Civil Services Board, and the Community Action Board. Before we get started, I just want to, again, just talk about the goals of this committee. And you're not here because you're in trouble. You're here because we want to know more about your committee. This is an ad hoc committee that we have assembled, and we're just kind of going through Louisville Metro's 65 plus boards and commissions, seeing where we can help you all and collaborate in better senses. There's no action items that will come out of this meeting, but at the end of all of our meetings, we're going to come together as a committee and kind of formulate how our recommendations for council to take, whether that's adding or subtracting members, creating new language to dictate what members are on those boards, or, I think that we've also found some redundancies in some of these boards. And so, again, you're not in trouble. We're just here and excited to learn more about you. But since we do have so many boards and commissions to get through, and it's 5 p.m. and we all have other things that we want to, tend to, we want to make these meetings as efficient as possible, and each board and commission gets 15 minutes. And I set a timer, and when your timer is up, try to finish up your thought, and we'll move on, and then anything else we can follow up with you. Today, we're going to start with the Ethics Commission, and I believe we have Vice Chair Bill Schreck here to talk about that. And if you want to, whichever one, if you want to go to the podium or sit down, it's your choice. Thank you. And while you're getting settled in, I just want to give an overview of the Ethics Commission. They are under KRS statute and a local ordinance. They meet monthly on the third Thursday. Their members are not compensated, although they do have but money in their budget for an attorney. There are 7 members, no immediate vacancies. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Schreck.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I wasn't sure exactly what we were supposed to do. We have 2 handouts. We have a PowerPoint, a hard copy of a PowerPoint, as well as our annual report in draft form. I can have Rose Reveal, our new administrative clerk, to hand them out, if that's okay.
Sure. Our clerk will have to intercept them because anything has to be put into the record before it can be shared with the committee. But while Cheryl is taking care of that, you're more than welcome to kind of walk through it. And by the way, with that 15 minutes, if you could just tell us about your board in whatever capacity you want for maybe about 7 minutes, and then the rest of that time, it'd be great for us to ask any questions.
Okay. The PowerPoint is really broken up into a total of 11 sections. The first one, general, that just goes through the commission, why it exists, how many members, and it goes through the required training, the program. The second part is the definitions. The third part is standards of conduct. The fourth part is financial disclosures. The The fifth is nepotism. The sixth is advisory opinions. The seventh is complaints and how they're processed. Eighth is protection against reprisal. 9 is transactions with subordinates. 10 is public housing. And 11 is lobbyists. Each one of these series of slides will go into details about the requirements of those areas. We as a commission exist to promote ethical conduct, ensure accountability, and build public trust and transparency by overseeing ethical practices, providing guidance and training, and enforcing the laws. Do you want me to talk about some of our current needs? Or our commission really is kind of almost a new commission. I'm the oldest commissioner, and I've only been on there since, I think it's December of '23. We've had 3 new ones come on as of July the 1st, and we have 1 more that's going to be leaving. So 4 of the 7 will be brand new, and which I think will really be good because it will bring a new aspect to it. So we're really looking forward, but I can go through some of our current needs, or I can talk about each of the slides. I can talk about the annual report. In such a short period of time, I don't want to talk about something you all don't want to hear about, I guess.
Sure, it's really meeting. Maybe you could talk about some of the things that you're working on right now. I know that we also associate the Ethics Commission with trials and that capacity, so maybe you could talk about that and what that's looked like since your inception.
Oh, okay. As per the draft annual report, we have processed and registered 130 lobbyists and 55 employers of lobbyists. We do an annual training program for all those that are required to go through that. We also receive all the financial disclosures. We have processed during the last fiscal year 2 financial disclosure complaints. We've had 15 meetings. We issued 10 advisory opinions. We processed 26 open records. We processed and heard 9 complaints. We have 1 case that's currently in appeals at the circuit court level. And that's about a quick summary of last year's activities.
And I think right now, you all are in the process of looking for a lawyer for the commission. And can
yes,
you kind of
we
speak
are.
about that?
Yes.
And how that relationship is with the board, maybe?
Yes. As of our last meeting, we as a commission request to renew Todd Lewis's the contract. The county attorney apparently has some issues with that, and so we're trying to work through it. But I can tell you that Todd Lewis has been an unbelievable asset to the commission. One, he's very knowledgeable about it. He's very, he actually enjoys it, and he is just one that is totally factual based. And so we're really looking forward to getting this resolved as quickly as we possibly can, because it is kind of stopping our processes.
What's the next step in resolution?
We're going to meet on it tomorrow and determine the best route to go.
I guess tomorrow is the 3rd Thursday of the month.
Yes.
So I hear you on the 9th page of your annual report, there are recommended amendments to the ethics code.
Yes.
I haven't read through them since this is the first time I've seen this document. But are those hand it off to Metro Council or a
Yes.
committee? And, what does implementation look like?
This report will be sent to the mayor's office as well as the council. Hopefully, we will agree on the draft tomorrow, and we should have it out by the end of the week. This entire report will come to y'all.
So this is kind of a hot off the presses report that we're holding.
It is. It is a draft, and I was really kind of hesitant about doing it, but it is based on last year, so I think we're fine.
And I want to remind my colleagues, if you want to jump in, I know that the Ethics Commission is something that comes up quite often, so I know that this is of interest to my colleagues, so just buzz in if you want something. And Marcus, unless you're an AI-generated glass of water, I can't see you. So if you have a question, appear. Let's see. So 9 formal complaints were processed between July 2024 and June 2025. Can you kind of talk about those, and then how many of those resulted in what action?
Almost all of them were resolved to reviewing the facts and having the parties involved discuss. We concluded that all of them really either needed some more information or we resolved them without a finding. We didn't find them in violation of the ordinance.
And do you all process all of those financial disclosure reports? Do you all review them? Like, what's the method of bookkeeping on those?
That's a very good question, and we discussed it at our last meeting, and at tomorrow's meeting, we will go through all of the individuals that are currently delinquent or did not file, and then we will work with HR to make sure that they receive letters telling them of the importance of it. If they don't follow through, we will have to take further action.
And so you all just get those and then file them away, or how much, work is put into like creating a database to connect dots in case there is a potential ethics violation?
Well, that's, again, another
It's
good question,
hard.
and one that I would like to also express that we really need to bring our system into the current century. I mean, we hard copy everything, and I've always been a firm believer, the easier you make it, the better compliance and the more transparency. We work with IT and found a contractor that could do a system, but we don't have a budget for it.
Do you have a number for that, do you know? Off the top of your head,
Off
it's
the
okay,
top of
but
my
you can
head,
get
I
back to
really
us.
don't.
Well, I'll turn it over to Councilman Linninger.
I'm sorry.
I believe Councilman Linninger has a question,
Yeah,
unless,
and I had a few of my questions, you've gone through them, but I want to have a little more orientation here. In the vernacular of Metro government, you would say that your process is complaint-driven, that you're doing no proactive investigation of the forms that are filed, and instead, if there is a complaint, then you go and you investigate into the file about the disclosures.
Yes, we are primarily complaint-driven. We do review the financial disclosures forms and make sure they're filled out completely.
Right, but you're mostly looking for compliance on filling out the forms, submitting the forms on the front end. That's really all you have the capacity for.
Yes.
In the report, you mentioned several times that there's been asks for funding. Has there ever been any funding, or is it a change?
As far as my tenure on the commission, no, we have never had a budget.
Okay. Would you say that you are able to fulfill the purpose of the ordinance, not like the spirit of the ordinance, without funding?
I don't think we should do it, I don't think we can do it based upon what I think the spirit of the ordinance is. I think we should do more educational programs to make sure that not only the Metro officials who have to go through the training know about the ordinance, but we should probably do it to Metro employees, all of them, and we probably should do a better job to the general public. As far as the financial disclosure forms, that they are a sworn document, we would have a very difficult time to determine the total. I mean, if they say they own X, they most likely do own X.
And could you describe to me what the interactions with the body, outside of, again, that there's a complaint, there's an allegation, et cetera, that you investigate, but I mean, in terms of a working relationship with this body, with the mayor's administration, is it you send an email, you send a letter, you have a regular meeting? Like, how does the board interact with the elected members of government?
We're required by ordinance to make recommendations as to changes to the ordinance. We are required to do an annual report. I'm not sure exactly what else. I mean, we would be more than willing to work with you all. I mean, we want to make our ethics commission the best in the country. And we really think it's extremely important because we all have to have the public trust, and being ethical is the best way to get it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So you have 7 members. They're all appointed by the mayor, and they're all approved by council, correct?
Yes.
The only reason I ask is because, well, let me ask this. Do you think that that creates a good, diverse, and ethical makeup of this board, especially since people who might be under ethics investigations are able to appoint or dictate members?
I really think all of the commissioners should be unbiased, apolitical, very objective, and deal with facts. We're really lucky. I and one other person are the only non-lawyers on the commission, so we're a very factually based, unbiased group, I think.
Sure. I don't know I can't speak on behalf of the mayor, but I feel like on Metro Council's behalf, we don't put those candidates or appointees through the ringer. There's no test to, to judge how fair you are, right? So if you feel like we've got a good commission, but, are you afraid that it could be swayed in a certain way in the future, as you've got almost half of your board being changed in the future? Is there something that we should look for as a red flag in candidates? What's a green flag?
I think it'd be good to look into the history of the appointees. I mean, I know when I was appointed, I had to speak to you all. I had some questions asked of me. I assume that you all do that for all of them. I mean, we're all volunteers, and so therefore we're doing it because we believe in it. I mean, if we didn't, we probably wouldn't agree to do it. So I'm not sure how you get to a perfect environment. It is good to have a really good attorney assigned to us who keeps us focused. We don't agree on all things all the time. We have lengthy discussions, some longer than even I like, but we always come to some consensus or come to some place that we either need to get more data or talk to more people. We want to make sure that we do the right thing 100% of the time. We don't want to be a gotcha group. That's why we love people seeking advisory's opinion. If you think it's a possibility, it may be a violation, ask us, and we will respond as quick as we can.
Sure, thank you. And I'm just trying to think of like the litmus test when somebody's before us, you know, like, would you take a bribe? And, you know, I don't know a person that would say, actually, yes, I would, so I'm probably not fit for this commission. So, you know, maybe that would be good to get a sense of guidance on the candor of candidate that we should be looking at. But
Yeah, I would just think that only people that really think that the processes should be above board and ethical and moral would want to be on the commission. I may be naive. As some of y'all know, I've worked for government for many, many years, and I always told my staff, you don't take anything. I mean, even something small can turn into a perception that that's not good. And we really need, as public servants, to be better than the private sector. I shouldn't have said that, but I am. But I really believe it's an extreme honor to be a public official. And what goes with that, you actually have to be better than, I mean, all my friends are from the private sector, and I know what they do and how they will and deal and stuff. We just can't do that and shouldn't. But getting back to the commission, I really think that the people that want to be on it for the right reasons, and they don't have any predetermined opinion of people or things.
good, I hope that's it.
Hope so.
Any other burning questions from anyone? If not, then we'll move on, and thank you so much for your time and especially serving on this board.
Thank you all for having us, and that if y'all have any questions or concerns, we would be more than happy to get back with y'all.
Well, you've given us plenty to mull over.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, sorry, a lot of papers to shuffle through. I'm going to invite up the Civil Services Board, and I believe we have Chief Examiner Steve Wilkins here. So this is a board that is under KRS statute authority. There is a local ordinance. They meet at least once a month online. There is a stipend or per diem, I guess, per meeting for $50, and no one can exceed $3,600 annually. They don't receive any money from the budget, and they have maximum of 6 members, no immediate vacancies. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Wilkins.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I am Steve Wilkins, Chief Examiner of the Civil Service Division of Louisville Metro Human Resources. Some of the information I had in my presentation you actually already mentioned, but it was established by state statute, specifically KRS 90. This is a very old board, created in 1942, which is when historically a lot of merit-type system laws were passed in cities around the country. The specific things that KRS 90 governs are hiring and promotions for certain departments within Metro. We have the civilian positions in LMPD. We have the Louisville Fire Department, Emergency Management Agency Metro Safe, which has the 911 call takers and dispatchers, and Family Health Centers. Family Health Centers being what we call a quasi-agency. Hiring and promotions are handled by the full-time employees of the Civil Service Division of Louisville Metro HR. KRS 90 also governs job descriptions, and it also has rules around discipline, including suspensions, terminations, and demotions. And although it's a rare occurrence, also disciplinary appeal hearings. As you mentioned, the board is composed of 6 members appointed by the mayor. The mayor himself is actually a member ex officio who would have come in to break a tie. Members do receive $50 per meeting, appointed to 4-year terms, and must be residents of Louisville Metro. Here's just an organizational chart. You mentioned that we had no vacancies, but Teresa Boyd, our chairperson, is actually coming up on the end of her 3rd term, which means that she would be term limiting out. We'll be sorry to see her go. She's been a fantastic chairperson. But the board is administered through the Civil Service Department. Okay. The board is administered through the Human Resources Department. And so, let's see, as you can see there, we have vice chair and then 4 other members. Meetings, by statute, the board must meet at least once a month. Although it doesn't happen often, we will call a special meeting if we need to, if there's some urgent matter. And we have disciplinary appeal hearings when necessary. A typical agenda, we would read suspensions and terminations into the record for our covered departments. Those are not action items for the board. Instead, they're for board information only. There are also requests to establish or revise job descriptions. Job descriptions are actually written by the Classification and Compensation Division of Metro Human Resources, but they have to be approved by the board. The board basically looks at it, and if they see any issues with it, then they will bring that to C&C's attention. We also have a request to establish or revise test components and weights, which is a frequent item. In the Meritype system, all applicants for positions within the covered departments must be evaluated in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's an actual test that they take. Anything from, multiple choice written tests all the way up to full-blown assessment centers, or we could have 100% training and experience evaluations, or it could be any combination of those. So those are also approved by the board. Typical agendas also have requests to extend probationary periods. Under the civil service rules, all employees, with the exception of uniformed members of the fire department, have a probationary period of 6 months. Uniformed members of fire have a probationary period of 1 year. However, those that have the 6 months can have that extended if the agency deems it appropriate for up to an additional 6 months. And then also requests for rehire, requests for reemployment are approved by the board. Hearings, under KRS 90, employees in civil service positions in those departments covered by the statute have a right to appeal suspensions of over 10 days, terminations, and demotions. Hearings are very much like a trial where each side is represented by legal counsel. They would have opening arguments, they would call witnesses to testify, and then the other side will cross-examine. They would have closing arguments, and then the board goes into executive session to deliberate. The board can overturn or reduce discipline, but not issue discipline over and above that already issued by the chief or director of that department. Hearings are quite rare with the Civil Service Board. We have had one since 2014. There have been probably around half a dozen requests since then. However, the appealing employee basically changed their minds and withdrew their request or just simply did not appear. When hearings do occur, they typically last 1 to 2 days, sometimes more. And so now I can take any questions.
You don't oversee all Louisville Metro employees, just the ones that are LMPD, civil servants, fire department, emergency management services, and family health centers?
Yes, it's specifically civilian members of LMPD. The sworn officers are covered by the Police Merit Board, which is a similar system.
And we just heard from them, so makes sense. Since 2014, you've had one trial.
That's right.
What department was that employee from?
I believe it was Family Health Center.
And is that lack of cases, does that, or appeals, does that indicate that we're just doing really, really great in that department? Or does that just mean maybe people aren't aware of their right to appeal?
They should be aware of their right to appeal. One of the things that they get when they are suspended or if they are terminated is a notice. It's called a personnel action form for the Civil Service Board that has the indication on it that they have the right to appeal.
Anybody else have questions? Councilman Leninger?
I guess my instinct when I see that number in terms of the lack of appeals since 2014, I guess what I see is it possible that we are under-disciplining? That the slider is so far into a conservative direction that, because nobody's perfect, right? And I certainly don't think that we're going to get a lot of arguments that Louisville Metro government and the administration thereof, the management, at any level, that anyone's going to say that there is zero room for improvement in any actions. And I guess, to me, in 11 years, one person appealing, that to me suggests that the discipline handed down regularly, people look around and they say, we're not really dodging bullets over here.
Yeah, there's actually a fair amount of discipline. Every agenda, has at least a few suspensions and the occasional odd termination. One limiting factor is that they can only appeal suspensions of over 10 days. Honestly, I would have to check the data, but I would think probably the majority of the suspensions are for less than 10 days, meaning they would not be appealable. Demotions are pretty rare. There's actually only one case that I recall, where someone was demoted. That was actually a fire department case, and he did request an appeal. However, the board was unable to hear it because under the rules, probationary employees do not have the right to appeal. That I think is probably, the biggest reason is just that there's not a lot of suspensions that are over and above 10 days.
Okay. Because there's, it's also terminations are appealable to this board.
Yes.
And again, I don't want to slander our Metro employees, who are, of course, the best and the brightest and the greatest in the world. But I do question that no one comes away feeling sour, that, they were on a line and it went the wrong way to them. Again, one case in 14 years, even taking into account that there are edge cases about someone in a probationary period and that they're not eligible and things like that. I don't know. To me, that says that I would expect this board to be more busy, which, of course, is not to say this board shouldn't exist. It's statutorily required, but that's all. Thank you.
Do you feel that the board is effective with 6 members? Because earlier you said that the mayor had to come in for a tiebreaker, and I'm just wondering, with one more member, you would have the ability to, you'd kind of eliminate that need.
Well, actually, I've been with the board since 1999, and the mayor has never had to step in to break a tie. So,
Are there, I guess it depends on who shows up, because you all vote on other things, I assume, like do you
Yes.
vote to approve a job description?
yes.
But I can't imagine there's many contentious votes.
The majority of them are not contentious.
What is in that minority that would be contentious?
To be honest with you, I can't recall any specific examples.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer? Anything? Do you feel like there were maybe job responsibilities that could be put onto this board that don't currently exist?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Well, unless anyone else has any questions, we can thank you for your time, Mr. Wilkins, and we'll follow up if we have any questions. And thank you for the presentation. No one got to see it, I'm sorry, but it was a nice one.
Thanks.
So, thank you. Next up, and hopefully you all can clarify this, I don't know. The Human Relations Commission Advocacy Board and the Human Relations Commission Enforcement Board, are those two separate boards? So do we want the advocacy or enforcement first?
Well, I was going to speak for the HRC as a whole and then go into a breakdown for the boards because we kind of worked.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll let you take it since I'm confused. I can't give my synopsis, so I'll just let you take it from here.
Okay, I'm Renee Goatley, the Executive Director of the Human Relations Commission. I have with me this evening my Assistant Director and the board chairs for both advocacy and enforcement. Some background information about the HRC. We serve as the civil rights agency for Louisville Metro and have been legally chartered to enforce anti-discrimination laws in the local area since 1962. Since then, HRC has maintained a strong relationship with the community to deliver solutions that empower both individuals and institutions to take an active role in implementing practices that reduce bias and prevent discrimination. The work that the Commission does every day supports three of Mayor Greenberg's strategic priorities, which are affordable housing and homelessness, economic development, and safe and healthy streets. Today, our enforcement expands to work with agencies across Louisville Metro government that supports Louisville Metro government's utilization goals so that interested small businesses can fairly participate within our procurement process. To do this work, our department has two commission boards that assist the staff in doing that work. The Advocacy Commission is to promote and secure mutual understanding and respect among all economic, social, religious, ethnic, and social groups in the metropolitan area, and shall act as a conciliator in controversies involving intergroup and interracial relations. The Advocacy Board is out in the community listening, informing, and building bridges so that fewer people end up in situations where they don't know the next steps to take. As we build relationships with people in our neighborhoods, we begin to find solutions for voices that often go unheard. Our Advocacy Commission has 4 working committees. One is Disability, Right, and Public Accommodation. Another is Housing and Hate Crimes. We have an Education Committee and a Cross-Cultural Connection Community Outreach Committee. With our Enforcement Commission, the duties, responsibilities, and authorities granted to the enforcement group are for investigation and enforcement of anti-discrimination laws and small business certification. The commission reviews the work of the HRC, and those committees work directly with our operation. We have a subcommittee that we call the Reconsideration Board, and that group basically works with our investigators. If we have a complainant that chooses that they don't like the result of their case, then we can take it for that commission to review it to see if we need to do further investigation. And then we have what we call our certification review committee, and that works with us for certification of our small businesses. We sometimes run into some barriers of making decisions whether or not to certify a business, and they have some expertise that they bring to us to help us make those determinations. So basically, that's our department and our two commissions, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. So the Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission is a department within Louisville Metro.
Yes.
And that department is under what? Is it on its own, or is it under another office like?
No, we're a
Social
separate
services.
department, but I report up to the Deputy General Counsel out of the mayor's office.
So, Mr. Kaplan?
Well, Megan Metcalf is my direct report to.
Okay. And so, could you kind of go over the committees for each one? So starting with the committees for the Enforcement Commission.
The Enforcement Commission has two subcommittees. One of them is our Reconsideration Committee, and that's the one that works with our enforcement, our investigators, because what we do is people call in complaints about fair housing, fair employment, public accommodation, hate crimes, and we go through a process of taking in that information, reviewing it, and then if it works feasibly, then we send it over to the investigators to investigate. Once the investigators go through their process of investigating that information, and they come up with a outcome, we share the outcome with the complainant. If they're not, if they don't approve of what the outcome is, there is what we call a reconsideration process that they can, submit to us, that they want us to re-review it, and they have additional information about that case to bring to us. We also, through investigations, we have work-share agreements with HUD and EEOC. So some of the different steps that we have to follow is through their Office of Operation.
So you said the enforcement had two committees, reconsideration and?
Certification review. I have another whole operation in my department that we work with the small business community of doing small business certification for metro government. So if a company is 51% owned, controlled, and operated by a minority, woman, disabled, LGBT business, then we can certify them for business. And that certification is used to meet the goals of doing business with our diverse business community. Through that process, we sometimes run into some barriers where we need additional consultation about whether or not this business is good to go forward. So some of our members from the enforcement committee sits on what we call a certification review committee to, that we take that information through to them and get a outcome on that certification.
Thank you. These are thorough answers. I appreciate that. And so for the Advocacy Commission, that had two committees as well. That's education and cross-connection.
They have 4. Disability rights and public accommodation, housing and hate crimes, education, and cross-cultural connection and community outreach.
Okay, and how many cases do you all hear? And I guess those cases would go before the enforcement commission? Like how many reports of hate crime and, I don't know.
Good afternoon, I'm Tony Sears. I'm the Assistant Director with the Human Relations Commission. At last count, I don't have it all off the top of my head, but we have investigated 30 housing cases for this fast case processing period, which is July 1st to June 30th each year. And then EEOC cases, that is 30 for the case processing period of October 1st through September 30th. So those are the cases that we have, that we've investigated. As far as like of them coming before the reconsideration, I would estimate roughly 10% of each of those cases maybe. And that's an estimate.
I'm going to hand it over. Are you in the queue, Councilman Linear? Okay, Councilman Kramer.
Just a real quick, so you say once you get a complaint, you do an investigation. Who does the investigating and what does that look like? Is that like are you investigating paperwork or are you actually going out and like who does that?
It's a combination of all that.
Thank you.
So we use what's called the theories of discrimination, which involves prima facie. And so we have elements that we investigate. And so that means that we might have an interview with the complainant. We might go to the site and, take pictures and things of that nature.
And these are volunteers that are going and doing this?
No, these are.
Okay, that's my question. So
No.
who actually is doing the investigating?
The investigators, the employees.
Our
Okay.
employees. We have 3 investigators on our staff and a supervisor, enforcement supervisor.
And then the board oversees
Right.
the general work.
If there's a need for a reconsideration, they do oversee that, yes.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Linear.
Is all the investigatory work, again, is that complaint-driven, or do you do proactive, like, I know that similar agencies around the country essentially test businesses and whatnot around the country to see if they are in compliance with
We no longer do
practices.
testing in our office. We didn't have the funding to continue the process. When I came on board, I came over to the commission in 2019, and through some changes with our work share agreement with HUD, we learned that the process that we were using for doing testing wasn't to their caliber, and we never got the additional funding to pursue that, so we've taken that out of our process. So basically, we look for folks to call in to us with the complaints. We also do a lot of outreach, so we're out in the community, at community festivals, different organizations, and, talking about what the work that we do, and sometimes that brings along some complaints. As a matter of fact, I shared a booth with the Human Rights Office, our state office, out at the fair on Sunday, and got 1 or 2 inquiries from that. So that's how we get our work done.
Do you believe that the HRC is fulfilling its mission without this testing? Or do you believe that it would be better if the HRC was funded at a level that they could pursue the testing?
If we could do the testing correctly, it would be very good, especially in this housing market with some of the things that are coming up with the housing. And what was happening is that the way we were doing that testing, we were just going out and saying something wasn't right. And we weren't able to do it like 2 out of 3 times or something like that. And so that was part of the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Can you kind of talk about your relationship with the internal audit, Office of Internal Audit? Because we get that report, and it's taking a second to download right now, but that's kind of like sexual harassment and, discrimination and all sorts of issues that get reported internally by departments. And so I'm just trying to wonder, when do you all
We-
kind of come into the mix?
We don't. We get that report also, but that's not anything that we investigate. Our investigations are from the citizens of the community, not internally from employees.
We do refer those to the Kentucky Commission for Human Rights,
Right.
though.
And so, someone from the community who is making a complaint, they would be doing that against a business or housing? Or could I
Right.
do it because I think someone's, report someone just because they were a bigot to me on the sidewalk?
Yes. Yes, you can do that. That's a hate crime. The situation that we had a while ago where somebody was doing the scribbling of hatred stuff on their property and things of that sort, we got that call and had to investigate that case.
And then what came out of that case, saying, you found out that this is a terrible person with hate in their heart? What happens?
So what our office does is we try to conciliate it. And so the complainant in this case, they wanted the person to receive some type of training, and the person agreed to it voluntarily.
And that training is through you all?
No, the person, in this case, the complainant actually had a certain training that they wanted them to take. They picked out a certain training.
And what if the person refuses?
Then it's no longer voluntary. If it's considered to be a reasonable cause case, then it's handed over to JCAO, the Jefferson County Attorney's Office, and then they pursue it further, if they accept the case.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Lots to learn from, but thank you all for all of your information today.
Yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to call and let us know, and we can answer those questions. Yes?
As you walk away, you mentioned that you refer these to the CAO, and then whether they decide to pursue it or not. I can't imagine there's lots and lots that you refer because of the work you do before you get there, obviously. On those cases that do get referred, what is the general outcome there? Is it more common that the county attorney tries to work out some kind of an arrangement, or is it more common that we would actually press charges and follow through?
It depends on a case-by-case basis, obviously.
I would
but
expect, yeah.
More than likely, they would try to conciliate it as well. And
Okay.
if they can't conciliate it, then they do proceed with trial.
With a bigger stick than you have?
And we have been kind of successful this year with some of the conciliations that we have done with some of our cases, that people were able to get monetary and some, like they said, trainings and stuff. So we're a small group, but we do some mighty work in the community.
Oh,
That's it for me,
you
thank
look
you.
like you were like
Nope.
gearing up
Nope.
for a question. I guess I do have one last question. You were talking about how you oversee minority businesses and making sure that they get licensed. Can you just quickly talk about how many businesses you have? And you don't have to give a breakdown of like women-owned, minority, do you-
Currently, in our database, we have about 215 diverse businesses that are listed in there. And like you said, it is a variation of the different categories. But we also tell our database clients that this is a marketing tool for them, because as we are looking for diverse businesses to do business with, we have a place to go to look for them. We also share information with them about opportunities. We try to get them linked up into the procurement portal so they can get information about procurement opportunities that come through our purchasing department. So we working hand in hand with those different area departments about that.
And are those 215 diverse businesses, is there like a directory online?
Yes, if you go to our website, to our webpage, and click on the contract compliance link, you can get into the database to see what businesses are out there. And that's for anybody. And that's the other thing about this, because a lot of times, the certifications that these companies get, they have to pay for, and our certification is a free certification. And anybody has listings to it, so if a construction company comes in from out of town and they need a painter, they can go to that database to see what painters that we have in there and reach out to them.
I see. And I guess my last question, it looks like you don't have your last annual report online was from 2021. Is there a reason that the last 4 years, or at least 3 years, are
We
missing?
do a biannual report. And so we're working on, we did the last one in, what was it, 23?
Yes.
And we're working on the one, the current one. Yes, we do a biannual report. We don't do an annual report.
Gotcha. Well, I guess that is from 21 to 23, and so, okay, you're up to date, never mind.
I try to.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it honest.
We will come through that, but any other questions? Nope. All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
All right.
And just committee members, they also have a little pamphlet that they gave everyone if you wanted to. Okay, we all on the same page. All right, thanks for sticking with us. We've got one more to go, and this is going to be the Community Action Partnership Board. And today we have Crystal Bryson Oberer. Hello. Did I say that right?
O'Brear.
Oberer.
Very close.
The way you say it is much cooler. But they are under KRS statute, a local ordinance. They meet on the second Thursday of every other month. They're not compensated. It looks like 18 members, and there's no immediate vacancies, and I will let you take it.
All right, so can't talk about the Community Action Board without talking a little bit about community action. Community action is an idea, history, and legislation. Comes out of the 1960s War on Poverty from Lyndon B. Johnson, and a funding stream was established during that time that was given straight from the federal government to local community action entities who were doing anti-poverty work. That got shuffled around a little bit in the 80s, and it got turned into a block grant, which federal government gives to the states administer to the local entities, but it is still driven by anti-poverty mission work. So there are thousands of community action agencies across the country within Louisville Metro, within Jefferson County. Our community action agency is the Office of Social Services. Most community action agencies in the country are nonprofits. We are the only public agency within the state of Kentucky, and I think total there's maybe 70 across the country. Most of them are nonprofits. And the main difference between the nonprofit or the public agencies is that nonprofit boards, community action boards, are governing boards, whereas for public community action agencies, they are just advisory boards. So we adhere to the KRS statute, I think, that you mentioned, but then we also follow some national organizational standards that are set by our National Community Action Partnership. Those are in alignment with GERPA, the 93 legislation about government enhanced management processes. And our board is subject to some of those requirements. So I'm the project manager for the Office of Social Services and the staff liaison for that board. We thought it best for me to come in since I'm a certified community action professional, so I'm well tuned into the different nuances of those requirements. But essentially our board, like you said, is meeting every other month on the third Thursday. It is 18 members. The most unique thing about our board is that we have a tripartite structure. We have to maintain a ratio of, I think it's at least 1/6 has to be government representatives. And so for that sector, we've got OHCD, TARC, DCBS, JCPS, and then also Deputy Mayor George sitting for that sector. We can have no more than 1/6 coming from the private sector, and those folks can be from nonprofits or from private businesses. So we've got Coalition for the Homeless, Louisville Water Company, United Way, Legal Aid, and Louisville Apartment Association. We've got Louisville Metro Housing Authority, and I don't remember actually which sector they sit for, but they're also present. And then we have a low-income sector, which must make up 1/6 of our representatives. These are individuals who work with the low-income community and are able to speak to some of the needs of the low-income community. Some of them do work for different agencies, but they are there kind of speaking for the community as a whole. This is an advisory board with no governing powers, so they do weigh in on and offer approval on things like mission statement change or action plan, strategic planning updates and approval. And we do an annual community needs assessment to help determine how we use our community service block grant funding, and then to help with just kind of overall planning for the department. And they also weigh in on that process and approve when we finish it. And I can talk about Office of Social Services as well. In the world of social services, it's always kind of, who's part of what team and how are we combined, but I can just take questions too if that's easiest.
I'll get to you in just one moment, but I guess, what work are you all doing to eliminate the paradox of poverty in the midst of plenty in this nation?
Well, we work with our 8 different divisions. The department priorities right now have to do with alleviating and preventing homelessness. Lots and lots of that has to be done through partnerships, of course, because as the Office of Social Services, we are able to provide some direct services, but there's only so much that we can do in kind of preventing this entire large systemic complicated problem. We have got case management services with rental assistance and eviction prevention funding. We have LIHEAP that we administer through our department. The Office of Financial Empowerment is within our department, and they offer financial coaching and counseling as a municipal service. Senior Nutrition Meals on Wheels are included within our department, so we've got great programming going on with our seniors, and we've also got some AmeriCorps program doing civic engagement work.
Thank you. Councilman Linear.
So you advise, but you do not govern. How's the advising going?
Well, I don't mean this to come across as flippant. I chair an advisory board myself. There's always an existential crisis with an advisory board of that question of what are we doing here? To me, the best thing that comes out of our board and other advisory boards that I've seen is the power of conversation and breaking down silos. Obviously, within social services, you've got lots of different funding streams that have their own language that you need to speak, their own reporting metrics that you have to use, and their own timelines. And so when you are trying to stay in compliance with those different funding streams, you can just get so zoned in on your own work that you forget about what somebody's doing in the office right next to you. So the Community Action Board is a great space for people to come together and talk about the work that they're doing, and then hear input from the Coalition from the Homeless, hear input from Louisville Apartment Association, from the landlords that are on that board. So the advising is going, I would say, well. We're always wanting to do better with it and kind of come down with more tangible results out of it, but the conversation has a lot of power.
And again, the structure is a minority for this network nationally. Is there considered a best practice for format?
We do. I can absolutely send over our organizational standards to you. We've got, it's broken out for public and for private entities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Kramer?
So you mentioned that you're the only municipal community action board in municipally controlled or run community action board in the state. And there are, I think you said 70 across the country that are municipally run.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are states that have more than one, even though we only have one. I am guessing, and this is a question to confirm my guess, I suppose it's the larger cities that have municipally controlled community action boards, whereas the smaller communities very often are using nonprofits.
I think it varies. The beauty and the challenge of community action is that it was very homegrown in its roots. So Louisville, our community action agency started as a quasi-governmental agency, and then I think it was during the merger when it turned into what it is now.
Purely.
Yeah, or no, that's not true. I think it was a quasi-governmental during that time period. I can't speak to the size of them. I do, when I've looked into the websites for some of these other ones, I know there's a few in Arizona, I think Maryland had one. They do similar work, so they'll have LIHEAP, they'll have Meals on Wheels, and they'll have AmeriCorps kind of plugged into it.
Okay, because the question was, can be, if it's not population size, then the next to guess is geography.
I truly think it was situational in the context of whatever was going on with the original applicants from the 1960s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then you mentioned that the funding was initially through the feds, and then now it's a pass-through from the state.
Yes.
Where does that money go, and how is that money used in action boards, community action boards that are run by nonprofits?
So I can speak obviously most confidently for our own, most of ours.
And I realize that, and I apologize.
Oh, that's okay, yeah.
I'm trying to, and I know it's not fair to ask you to compare, because it's not the world, those are not the waters that you swim in.
We do talk a lot, though, like I said,
Right.
that's a big
So
part of
I
our
was
work.
hoping you might be able to offer
I think
some.
other ones use it for, they've got some job training programs. There's a lot of case management and whole family approach work that's being done across the state right now. I think that we do eviction prevention on the largest scale through our neighborhood place programs. So it does kind of vary. Some might use it for Meals on Wheels, and other entities also have Head Start kind of rolled into their agencies.
Okay, thank you.
So in your meeting minutes, and obviously, as we saw in the last grouping, I could have, not the most recent ones pulled up, but looking at the ones from December 2024, there is a financial report that is presented to the Community Action Board. Is that the Office of Social Services full budget?
Yes, and that report divides award plan and annual plan, so general fund reporting and grant reporting. With the way that grant funding works, as I'm sure you know, it has different timelines that it's administered across, and so it's not always possible to line it up with our fiscal year. And so rather than trying to force something and come out with inaccurate numbers, we have two separate ones.
And that makes sense. And so, and this is the one from 8 months ago, but the annual plan had 16 million allocated, 6.3 million spent, and 9.7 million remaining. And that, I guess, could just be it's been committed but not spent, maybe, or is that kind of money that's sitting on the table, and does this Community Action Board give any guidance into how that money should be spent?
They ask a lot of questions, which is great. So that December one that you're looking at would be right smack dab in the middle of the fiscal year for that annual plan. My understanding on the financial affairs is kind of the least of all of this stuff, but the way that the budgets are operated, I think the goal is to take down as much as possible from our grants and then work with the general fund money or the annual plan money. But I would not stake my reputation on that, so I'd be happy to take that question down and get back to you with a better answer.
Sure. And maybe just because I am having difficulty finding it, there's no meeting minutes from 2025.
I will get those onto there as soon as I can, or I can send them over to you as well.
All right, thank you
We
so
would
much.
just at this point have February and April that would have been approved. June will be approved tomorrow. So.
Okay. Any other questions, committee members? All right.
All right.
Are we
Thank
good?
you.
All right, well,
Yeah,
thank
thanks.
you, Ms. Bryson O'Brear.
Excellent.
All right. And with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time.